It's funny, how your whole world can be balanced on the head of a pin, and you don't even realize it until someone breathes, and the whole thing comes crashing down. My hand was shaking so bad I could barely hold her phone steady. It was 3:14 a.m., the dead of night. The only light was the cold, sterile glow of the screen against my face. Every nerve, every fiber of my being was screaming at me to put it down, to go back to bed, to just be the good, trusting husband I had always been. But I couldn't. I couldn't unsee the way she'd been lately, the way she angled her phone away from me, the little secretive smile she'd try to hide when a notification popped up, the sudden late nights with the girls that had become a weekly ritual. My thumb hovered over that little green icon, the one for WhatsApp, and in that split second, I knew. I just knew that whatever I found on the other side of that tap would either prove I was losing my mind, or it would shatter my heart into a million irreparable pieces. There was no going back. It had started subtly, so subtly that I'd brushed it off as stress from her job, or maybe just the natural ebb and flow of a long-term marriage. We used to be inseparable, two halves of a whole, the kind of couple our friends called cheesy, but secretly envied. We'd lay in bed for hours, my arm under her head, and just talk about everything and nothing. Her scent, a mix of vanilla and something uniquely her, was my home. Then, about 6 months ago, home started to feel different. The conversations became shorter, her replies more perfunctory. She'd come to bed and immediately roll over, her back a solid, impenetrable wall between us. I'd try to pull her close, to feel the familiar warmth of her body against mine, and she'd flinch, just for a second, but a second was all it took. She'd murmur she was tired, that she had an early meeting. I told myself I was being needy, insecure. I'd stare at the ceiling for hours, listening to the soft rhythm of her breathing, a sound that once soothed me, but now felt like a ticking clock counting down to a disaster I couldn't name. The phone was the biggest thing. It was like a new limb permanently attached to her hand. It would buzz late at night, and she'd snatch it from the nightstand, her fingers flying across the screen with a speed I'd never seen before. "Just work stuff," she'd say, her voice a little too quick, a little too high. "Work stuff at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday?" I remember one night we were watching a movie, an old favorite, and her phone lit up. She glanced down and this soft, gentle smile spread across her face, a smile I hadn't seen directed at me in months. It was a private, intimate smile. When she caught me looking, it vanished, replaced by a neutral mask. "My sister," she'd said, turning the phone face down. But my gut, that primal, instinctual part of you that knows things your brain tries to deny, twisted into a cold, hard knot. I started to feel like a ghost in my own home, haunting the edges of a life that was no longer fully mine. I was there, but I wasn't seen. I'd make her favorite dinner, and she'd barely touch it, her mind a million miles away. I'd ask about her day, and I'd get a one-word answer while her thumbs were busy under the table. The silence between us grew from seconds to minutes, until it became this loud, suffocating presence in every room. The woman I loved was disappearing right before my eyes, replaced by a polite, distant stranger who happened to sleep in my bed. And the loneliest I've ever felt was lying next to her, close enough to touch, yet feeling like we were on different continents. The breaking point came on a Thursday. She came home late again, smelling of perfume that wasn't hers and a vague hint of wine. She said she'd been out with friends, celebrating a co-worker's promotion. She was breezy, almost giddy, and it was so different from her recent moodiness that it set off every alarm bell in my head. She kissed me on the cheek, a quick, dismissive peck that felt more like an obligation than affection, and went to take a shower. That's when I saw it, her phone lying face down on the bed. For a few minutes, I just stared at it, a dark rectangle on our white comforter, a little box full of secrets. My heart was pounding in my ears, a frantic drumbeat of fear and desperation. "This is insane," I told myself. "You're violating her privacy. You're destroying the trust we have left." But what trust? Trust was already a casualty, killed by 1,000 little cuts, by the silences and the secrets and the smiles that weren't for me. I needed to know if I was the one creating this drama in my head, if I was the one pushing her away with my paranoia, or if my world was already broken and I was the last one to find. Out. So I picked it up. Her passcode. I tried her birthday. Denied. Our anniversary. Denied. My heart sank. Then I remembered a stupid inside joke from years ago. A random number, 1483. My fingers trembled as I typed it in. It clicked open. My breath hitched. And there I was, at 3:14 a.m., the sound of the shower a distant hum, my whole life held in the palm of my hand. I opened WhatsApp. His name was at the top. Mark, her ex, the one she swore was just ancient history, a footnote in her life before me. My vision tunneled. The messages went back for months. It started innocently enough, a simple, "Hey, how have you been?" But it didn't stay innocent. I scrolled, my thumb moving on its own, a silent witness to the slow-motion demolition of my marriage. I saw them planning coffee, then lunch, then drinks. I saw him complimenting her, telling her she was beautiful, that he missed her laugh. I saw her replies, the flirty emojis, the way she told him things she hadn't told me. I read about her frustrations with me, my little habits, my flaws, all laid bare for him to see, painting me as the clueless, boring husband. And then I saw the more recent messages. Last night was a mistake, she'd written a week ago. A mistake? What mistake? My blood ran cold. His reply came an hour later. It didn't feel like a mistake. It felt like coming home. The air left my lungs. I couldn't breathe. I scrolled to the very last exchange from just a few hours ago, while she was supposedly out with her friends. His message read, "Can't stop thinking about you. Tonight was incredible." My eyes scanned the screen, desperate for her reply, needing to see her deny it, to shut it down, to say he was crazy. But her response was there, sent just 30 minutes before she'd walked through our front door. A single gut-wrenching sentence that ended everything. "You too," it said. "I feel so alive with you." In that moment, the shower stopped. I heard the water shut off, the bathroom door creak open. I didn't move. I just sat there in the dark, clutching her phone, the screen lighting up the tears I didn't realize were streaming down my face. The woman I had promised to love forever, the woman who was the center of my universe, had just told another man he made her feel alive, while I was sitting at home, dying a little more each day in the silence she left behind. It's a strange thing, heartbreak. It's not loud or dramatic like in the movies. It's a quiet, cold, hollowing out, a sudden and complete understanding that nothing will ever be the same again. And I finally understood that I hadn't lost her in that moment. I had lost her months ago, and I was just the last one to know.